play or provide them like kind of like a blueprint to my style of offense. I run a very simple style offense. One of my biggest play or formations that I like to pick is the gun tight end offset. This is like an old school kind of Madden playbook. It's definitely still used in Madden 21, but it's definitely been replaced by, you know, throne style of strong formations and the gun bunch kind of looks. With this, anybody who's pretty much primarily focused on addressing those kind of offenses or only knows how to stop, you know, things that everybody else are doing, you're definitely going to throw them for a loop with this playbook. So I do other formations, but we're just going to start with this for this video. And I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. I think for a lot of the new guys, they have a lot of issues with YouTubers trying to show them too much at one time and trying to get them to understand too many concepts and too many beaters for one play touchdowns. If you're looking for that from this video, I would probably suggest switching off. I mean, you're definitely going to be able to get some one-play touchdowns out of here, but you have to take what the defense gives you and really focus on trying to counter that. For this look, I like to have at least one speedy wide receiver. I do not use the tight end to achieve that. What you're going to do is just right stick right to HB1. HB1, if you can see the 81, is now a wide receiver when typically that would be a tight end. So I'm going to start with my favorite play, which is just a simple bench. You can get the same kind of concept out of Y out. You can get the same out of Saint spot. There's actually out of gun tight. There's other ones as well. There you go, Saint's HB wheel. But for whatever reason, I feel like I get the crispest routes out of bench. So we'll do that, and I'm going to give you guys a cover 2 look right now. Just click a random cover 2. So anytime you're going to be looking at a cover 2, hopefully the CPU plays it like a user would. But you know, you're going to have the 2 deep, and then you're going to have corners on the outside basically sticking with their wide receiver. There's different looks that you can have that will have them act differently, but typically with a good cover 2, even with the zone drops, you'll be able to kind of manipulate the zones and find an opening. So for this, what I first like to do is I take my square and I put them on a flat, and you achieve that by clicking square, L2. I'll do the same for circle, but I typically don't like throwing to the right with this style of play. I typically go to the left, and then if I'm going to make myself have a safe route, I really like to have a running back with like apprentice style abilities or CMC, so you can change their routes. It does really good with a flat, which will give you that look. If you're going to do a flat, sometimes I like, especially if I know I'm not going to throw to X, I'll put this guy on a slant to try to free up McCaffrey right there. By doing that, you basically give yourself a very safe option. So he's not open right there. I could have probably hit him, but I just wanted to show you how that plays out. Against a cover 2, it's not always going to be the best looks, but if you get fooled into a cover 2, that's traditionally going to be open for you. So you can see here, I'll show you guys what it looks like prior. So this is the default play. I just simply like to take square and circle and put them on flats. So this is going to be my staple route out of this formation. It's just going to be these corner routes. These corner routes will get wide open. They'll get open against users, they'll get open against CPU. It's very difficult to stop. If you can see, almost every single time out of this cover 2. See, you could go like this, and I have my guys, because I like to protect against this. Both of my corners are going to have the flat route ability, so they're going to play flat zones very, very closely. But with this, you can see he's going to torch pretty much any cover 2. If you have those people that are just spamming cover 2 against you, this is definitely going to want should be your go-to. Like every single time, it is going to cook that guy right there. And as long as you can throw it to him right after he breaks off his route, he's going to be open. So with that, there's a couple variants I like to do. You're going to end up having this somebody play that safety up top often, or you're going to have somebody playing a linebacker or a sub-linebacker, and they're going to hover over your guy. So when you're going to do this, that guy that's traditionally standing still right there, you might find the user controlling him, and then suddenly this route is gone. When that happens, you need to look for other options. A lot of the times, like you guys saw in this last play, he's not going to be open against a cover 2. You're flat, but oftentimes they're not going to be playing this traditional standard cover 2 set. So since we got the staple play down, we're going to look at your options for CMC. You're going to look at options for other wide receivers. So we'll start with like CMC or anybody else. If they have Apprentice, you're going to want to mix in Texas and you're going to want to mix in flat. Texas is going to give you a really safe option, getting 10 yards every single time consistently. It's definitely one of my go-tos, but I try to stay away from it if I know that the user is covering the middle of the field. What I would like to do is, like I said, it's probably going to get played here because my guys have the Flat Master as their traits. What I'd like to do is just hit him right on that break, on a flat route. So you can kind of achieve this if you don't have an Apprentice as your running back. There's a few different options you can use. You can just simply swing him left or right. It's not always going to work against CPUs, but against players it's going to be definitely helpful. It gives you a chance just to have a little, dump-off option and to stay away from that high-low read. Your other option for sure, though, is going to be that square wide receiver right there. They're not always going to be playing the flat, and I doubt most people use flat zones like I do. So sometimes, if they end up using that outside corner to cover your slot receiver more there, he's going to be open. That guy might back off 10 yards, depending on how they play their zone drops. It's an easy 10-yard pass whenever they decide to ignore that receiver. So now that we've kind of addressed the bench concept, well, I should also say one more thing. When you get somebody that's doing that infamous man, the computer isn't going to do it here. But when you got someone selling out to stop this play, what I like to do is I like to put my slot receiver just on a streak. So in the chance, like, you can pretend that safety, when he bites and throws that corner, I wouldn't even lead it inside. That guy will be by himself if that guy is playing man 0 or man 1. That's definitely one of my tricky kind of play styles that I like to go to. I want to also show you too, before I go on to the next play, that this play isn't just for cover 2. This play addresses pretty much every coverage. Even if you do like a cover 3, you're going to have some open read. And I'm going to just show you that. I wanted to play man, but I think most of you guys realize that a man cover is going to get beat by a corner. Like here I see I have a cover 3 style concept. I would probably stick with my flat, or I would stick with my Texas route, kind of dump off there. Like I said, if you don't have that Apprentice there, you can switch him out to like an out route even, or something like that. Anything that is just a quick dump off is gonna be the way to go. Another option, I think I mentioned it previously, is the option route for running backs. I really like to use that one. That gives them a few options. When I know I'm going to be throwing to the running back, I'll typically streak my wide receivers or put them on corners and just assume that the person I'm playing is in man. It doesn't look like the computer's in man here, but when you do that, it's going to make it so if you do break that initial tackle, you're going to go for a big gain. So now that we've kind of addressed the whole corners look, I'm going to show you guys a few different plays so you can continue building on this formation rather than just come out there and look predictable. So we're going to go tight end, offset tight end, or tight offset tight end, and HB1. So there's a few different looks you can see here. You can just stick with like Y out or something like that just to give yourself the same kind of bench read. But there is other options that you can pick from this playbook. I typically don't like to run out of this formation. I know a few people do. I know gun tight is better for running, but I think that's just kind of you can put yourself in better positions in the game by just staying with the pass with this. So if you don't have a running back Apprentice or anything like that, you can get a Texas route out of this look as well. And it gives you a pretty nice play style. I mean, if you do this and they're in a soft cover 3 or anything like that, you can typically hit triangle or X there. And if they bust out like you saw there, you could always roll out and playmaker your guys up. I mean, it's definitely a good play. I don't like to change too much of what the computer is giving you, or the original play art. If anything, I'll do something to kind of throw them off and make them think I'm doing that corner by taking that square receiver and putting him on a flat. By doing that, my guys are way fast, and I could have waited an extra second there. You do give yourself a little bit more space on that breakaway there. If you can kind of see, you give yourself just a little room to make a play. So that's a very good play, I feel like, out of the formation. It's definitely not my favorite, but it's definitely one of the ones that I like to mix in. Going back to the formation, definitely one of my favorite plays that I like to look. The Saints spot is also a good one if you don't have a running back with the apprentice ability. That'll give you that flat route and that the corner look where you can switch the square receiver and give yourself that high-low read. One that I don't think is used that often anymore that I think still cooks just as much as it did in Madden 16 is Saints in. So we'll do that against a random look. So we're going to get varying success because I'm not going to bother trying to read their defense. But just from the setup here, you can kind of see who's going to be wide open. You're going to hit triangle as soon as he breaks off, or you're going to dump it off to McCaffrey. If you see that your square receiver does get like a free break and everybody's in man, and you can get him open by 5-10 yards, then yeah, obviously you hit him. But what you're really looking for is that right there. Now you can see that's an X factor. It's Guidry. He's 96 speed. Like they're gonna get cooked if they're not in the right setup for that. This looks more like a defensive formations that would stop it. So you're gonna look. Well, no, even then, like when you think it's got to be your first read. You always have to look. It's one of those ones that you're gonna get easily intercepted from if you do make the wrong read. So you have to make sure that you're making it and you're making it right away and not hesitating. So regardless of him breaking out, I'm going to show you some secondary options for your, reads for you for first, second, and third read. McCaffrey again, I get teased a lot for relying on my running backs, but they can run some crisp routes, and I just think that more often than not, this is going to be your safest play. This is definitely where you want to go if you need 3 or 4 yards, and it really meshes well with the earlier play style of using him on flats. Because they're going to assume that you're always going to be running to the outside and not cutting in. So they're going to be so fixated on stopping this play that if you go back to the previous play and you look here, they're going to assume that if you go, as soon as your running back breaks off, that he's going to do some play to the right or some kind of Texas route. So they're going to give themselves a little bit of room to make a play. There is very little room for them there to jump the ball. And it's just overall a good play, especially too if you mix in the option route, as I was mentioning earlier. With the option route, he's either going to run and do a hitch or a curl, or he's going to break it outside. So when you have that kind of inside, when you have that kind of inside look, it really opens up the rest of your field. So with all that being said, those are really my big staple plays that I like to use. There's a few different ways that you can mess it around based on the kind of coverage that you see. We'll try to do a man coverage so I can tell you or show you how you can kind of make some adjustments or various play arts. We'll just do a 3-4. Probably should have done more corners on there, but it's pretty much the same concept. So when you know they're doing man, you don't have to do this normal hitch route or flat route anymore. You can kind of mix it up a little bit. You can give yourself kind of crossers here, or if you have a hot route master, you can actually put crossers or something in there. I like to do some kind of look like this, or a flat. If they're going to be going across the field like that, I'll probably make it a flat. If I'm going to do something like a drag, I like this kind of look as well. Because then you have a quicker dump-off option, and you're not going to have kind of the players crash into each other in the middle like you would with 2 slants. But when you do that, it gives you a really good opportunity to hit every area of the field. Like I said, especially if you know that they're doing man that has a cover 0, then that's when you can start breaking off like these streaks out of the middle when they just assume you're hitting these corners. As you can see, just about every single person is going to get open in man coverage. Of course, that's kind of dependent on your wide receiver's speed. But even slower wide receivers, like Keenan Allen, if you throw them in the slot and then they have something like, I can't believe I'm blanking on the trait name, but where they have crisper route running and the last break of their play, they get better separation, then he's going to cook even with slow speed. Just when he hits that area right there, they're just going to break off like crazy. So this works, like I said, even if it's just your standard, what's it called, cornerback, or wide receiver rather, without abilities. I'll kind of show you that here. It's going to definitely be your staple. And I don't want to ramble on too much about it, but I think it's better to understand the concept itself than the actual play. You can build, I'm going to keep them in man. you can build off of this kind of play art all game. So you know that that's just going to be your high-low read. You can do something like if you know they're in man and they're kind of playing it, you can do something like put a little zig on your inside guy right here. Traditionally, it would be a wide receiver and not a tight end, so you'd get a little bit more separation. I put my wide receiver back over there so you could kind of see. Gafford, obviously really fast, but no deep route running at all. And, you know, no trait, obviously. Even then, he's going to break off his route a little bit easier, or a little bit slower, but he's still going to be wide open if they're not covering it. So with that, that's basically my scheme. I'm going to show you a few other options here too. Let's just go back and look at it. So go gun tight end now, and I'm just going to break it down play by play. The wheel spot is one that everybody likes to use. I don't like to use it. If I'm going to do a wheel spot, I like to have this kind of look where I can take my guy out here, and obviously I don't have the space to show it right now, but if they're press coveraged and you have your guy and you break him out here, that little kind of turn right before them is going to break him open wide for a streak. Very similar to the other money plays, or however people want to call it, where they have a little stutter in their step on the outside that allows them to break open. I do like Saint Slot's wheel, especially when they're playing heavy man, but I traditionally like it more so I can throw in like a slant over the side and then have McCaffrey run this purple route where he gets ready to block. I just think that's a good concept for a play that you know from the beginning is going to go towards the right and you're going to roll out on the right. There's a few other plays in here. I like the screen pass out of this formation, especially if you're mixing in like throwing people around on their routes, motioning them rather, sorry. It's a good opportunity to confuse your opponent. Just run something simple like this. And obviously the computer is ready for that, but it's just overall one of the better screens in this game. And it runs stock as well. But it allows you to keep your opponent on your toes, especially when you mix in the screens and stuff like that. I mean, your running back is going to be your biggest dump off, and when they start focusing on the flats, you hit them with the corner. So there, you're going to almost always want to rush out to your right, even if you're always throwing it to that corner on the left. A lot of people talk about how you should roll out to hit your player. I like to stand completely still, and then it makes it easier when you're using a quarterback like Tom Brady or something like that. You have a better opportunity to get your feet set and make a big play. So that's basically about it. I just wanted to give you guys the, I guess, my scheme or how people, you know, have been trying to deal with me. There's really no real way to kind of defend this, I feel like, because as long as you are mixing it up and giving yourself different options, as long as you're not focused on one of your routes, you're going to really cook with it. I mean, and you can see, as I said, I don't like to break it to the right, but this doesn't just work to the left side, this will work to the right. This is my tight end, so he's going to get you know, no separation there, but it's going to work. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach me in the comments. I didn't really make this video so it would blow up. I just wanted to have something so I could show people an easy scheme, and thanks for watching.